What's going on YouTube? So in recent years, the Acura brand's lineup has not been nearly as large as the Lexus lineup or some other luxury rivals, but they have been changing that rapidly. This is the all-new ADX, which is the brand's third new addition to the lineup in just the last 3 years. So we want to know today, is the brand's new most affordable SUV starting at only $35,000 a great way to enter into the luxury space? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now let's get things started, as always, with our spec dump. Now, what's under the hood of the most affordable Acura SUV is a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It's making 190 horsepower. That's going to be paired with a continuously variable transmission, and our combined fuel economy for this all-wheel drive example is 27 mpg.
Now, the base price of the ADX is $35,000, and if you're looking to buy an ADX or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, we'll also be taking this ADX out for a spin later on to show you what that powertrain is like. We'll be getting things like our sound level reading, and then at the end discussing resale and reliability.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood so we can take a look at the exterior design as well as the interior. Now, as far as the exterior design is concerned, of course, it's going to reflect a lot of the same design elements as the more expensive Acura SUVs in the lineup. You'll see that begin right here in the front, where we've got the brand's signature diamond pentagon grille. This is the latest frameless iteration, and we've got a nice gloss black finish on board for this A-Spec Advanced model. So that's going to be the top trim of this. The middle trim is the A-Spec, and then you also do have a base model. There won't be a lot of design changes, but there are a few things in between those trims. Now, as far as our lighting, you're always going to get the same premium LED headlights. You've got the signature chicane daytime running light and turn signal indicator that goes all the way across through here. It's a very large unit. And then all but the base model will also get these fog lights down below. Now, as far as the wheels are concerned, you're going to have the choice between 18 and 19-inch alloys. These, of course, are the 19-inch alloys. When you choose the A-Spec Advance, you get an exclusive gloss black finish, which I think looks really nice with the gloss black accents that they have going around the wheel arches and the lower part of the body, as well as just this overall color. So this is called Urban Gray. It's a color that has been added really across most of the Acura lineup at this point, and it's definitely very eye-catching. Now, in terms of our mirrors, we're going to have standard heating and blind spot monitoring. You'll have a gloss black finish that matches the wheels on this top model, and you'll also get power folding.
Now, at the side of the Acura ADX, if you're familiar with the Honda brand, you may notice that it looks similar to something else, and that's because this is actually based on the Honda HR-V, and you'll see a lot of the same panels here at the side, and as we head around to the rear, you'll also see some resemblance. Now, as far as the vehicle length, it's 185 inches long, which is about 5 inches longer than the HR-V. However, most of that is just going to be up here in the front. They've done a lot with the front overhang to really make this vehicle look more premium than the HR-V. Now, as far as some design touches, we do have some blacked out window surrounds. Interestingly enough, we do not have roof rails on this model. And then as we head around to the rear design of the ADX, once again, you will see some resemblance to the HR-V, more so than in the front if you ask me, but overall it has a premium look to it. We have a spoiler up top. We also have an exposed rear wiper. Our Acura branding is going through the center area. You can also get some accessory things like an additional spoiler here underneath of the window. And then as far as the taillights are concerned, these are going to be a full LED setup regardless of which trim level you select. So that's going to include all of your accenting, the brake light, the reverse light, and the amber turn signal indicator. Now, as we drop down, you will notice that we have just regular all-wheel drive branding. Let that be a hint to you that you do not have SH all-wheel drive. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the test drive later. And then down at the lower area, we do have dual integrated exhaust outlets. Now, one really fantastic thing about the ADX is that you are going to get every single safety system as standard equipment, regardless of which model you choose. So even that very base model will have things like adaptive cruise control with a traffic jam assist. But guys, there's an exclusive interior color that we can't wait to show you. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. Now let's head on to the interior. First, we'll take a look at the key fob. You got the typical Acura key fob. When you choose the advanced model, that's going to give you remote start built into the fob itself, but smart entry will be standard anyway. And then as we walk up to the door here, you can just reach behind the handle that will unlock it and fold out the mirrors. And then taking a look inside the interior, I feel like it's going to be pretty familiar to a lot of you guys because we have some elements from the HRV, which are also going to be mixed with some familiar Acura elements as well. One of the big things about this interior that give it a unique flair, though, are our seats. So you'll notice that we have those signature Acura seats. They're going to have the nice thick bolsters on board. When you choose the A-Spec Advanced, the top model, that's going to upgrade you from leatherette to a genuine leather. And it's also going to add in this micro suede insert. So you'll notice that that's kind of running through here, and it has this unique blue that's really popping out. This is a special color option called Orchid, and it just gives you that really nice, I think, sporty flair that's going to appeal to the youthful buyers of this vehicle. Now, when you choose A-Spec Advanced, that's going to move your seats from 10-way power to 12-way power, so you've got the 4-way lumbar support. That's also going to upgrade you to give memory seats located right there on the door trim. But let's go ahead and get on inside. And by the way, I do also want to mention you can get a red interior option as well if you want a different kind of color pop. But let's go ahead and look around the rest of the cabin at the overall materials and see how they have elevated this space. So over here on the door trim, this panel will be covered in a leatherette material. You have kind of a piano black with a texture that goes through the center section. The same as the seats is going to reflect through the center there, and a soft touch plastic along the top. As we move along the upper dash, this is a soft touch plastic. We have more leatherette through here. We have a faux brushed aluminum, which is where our vent detail is. And then down on this side, you're going to have a full leatherette covering. Although for some reason over here on the driver's side, this is still going to be a hard touch plastic. A little bit more piano black through the center section. And then they've actually done a few touch points in a real metal. So our paddle shifters, those are a genuine aluminum. And also our push button start is a genuine aluminum. Let's go ahead and fire it up right now. And let's jump into some individual details of this interior. So as always, we'll begin with our gauge cluster. Right here in front of the driver, you're always going to find this a little over 10-inch digital cluster. There's a few different things you can reconfigure in terms of the overall design. Just be aware that you cannot get a head-up display. You can option that on to the Integra, which is the entry-level sedan, this being the entry-level SUV. I wish that they did offer that on the top spec trim level. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, of course, you're going to see we've got the nice flat bottom design with the A-Spec branding. Leather wrapped here with perforation on the sides. It will be heated as well if you choose the Advance, and you also get the rain sensing wipers on the Advance. The wheel itself is manual tilt and telescoping. Now HRV, whoopsies, HRV has a lot of really good storage solutions. So let's kind of see what you get with this ADX. I think it's going to be a little less overall in terms of your storage options, but the center console itself is still very, very large. Now you notice inside we've got one donut. That's because that is kind of our signature donut test, but we are not able to travel with all of our donuts because today we are in sunny California. Now, what they've done is actually kind of separated your cup holders. So you've got a big, deep cup holder back here and then a second one up here in front of the shifter. Then you'll find a wireless phone charging pad. This is standard on all models, and USB Type-Cs. Now the shifter, no push-button shifter like many of the other Acura products. It's just a traditional one. Pull back for drive. You can go back again to go into the sport mode. And again, you've got those real metal paddle shifters to go through some simulated gear changes. Heading into reverse, here's our backup camera. This is a 360 backup camera on this top spec A-Spec Advance. And as you can see, you've got that overhead view as well as the traditional view with the active guidelines. We can also switch between this view and just a couple different settings down through there. You have your electronic parking brake with brake hold located next to that. We also have our drive mode controller, so we'll talk a little bit more about this in the drive itself, but you've got several different drive modes you can choose. This also gives you the individual drive modes, so you can customize several different settings to get your preferred options. Now, as we roll on up to the center section, we're going to find our climate controls. These are basically exactly the same as what we have on the HR-V. However, that's not a bad thing. These are very high quality and nice knobs. You'll even notice that the ambient light behind it changes color as you adjust up or down in temperature. It's dual zone automatic, and again, everything is just physically rendered nice and easy to understand. Off to the side of that, we have our heated seat controls, and we also have ventilated seat controls. That, of course, is a big highlight there, having those ventilated seats on the top model. Now, continuing up, the next thing I want to show off is the audio system. So what you have is standard 8-speaker sound system. However, the A-Spec Advance gives you a 15-speaker Bang & Olufsen premium audio system. And let's go ahead and give that one a sample. Yeah, I have to say I'm pretty impressed by this sound system. It's really quite powerful. It really fills up the cabin nicely, and it has plenty of bass to really give you a nice pop when you turn it up. All right, so let's zero in on the infotainment screen right here. So this will look familiar to you if you're noticed any other recent Honda or Acura products. They use this in a lot of their products. This is the 9-inch display. It is standard equipment on all models. You have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay also on board with all models as well. However, one thing I do want to point out is what you're looking at right now is having Google Apps built in. So this is Google Maps. You will have to choose the top A-Spec Advance if you want Google Apps built in. So that'll be your Google Assistant, Google Maps, Google Play Store, where you can get all the other applications. Other than that, it's very straightforward. And of course, as you can see, it is a touchscreen. Now up top, we've got an auto-dimming mirror. No HomeLink remotes built into it though. And then I'll go ahead and slide back the sunshade for our panoramic sunroof. So this is included on all but the base model. The base model will instead just get a traditional size sunroof.
And let's go ahead and dive into this rear area for the Acura ADX. Now, as far as this rear seat is concerned, I'm happy to tell you that it's actually quite spacious. That's one of the HR-V's big characteristics, is being very spacious for this subcompact segment, and that's of course going to translate well here in the ADX. We're sitting at 37.7 inches of legroom, 38 inches of headroom. This seat is adjusted to Drew's 5'8" driving position, and of course we brought the official Car Confections ruler. We're looking at about 7 inches of additional knee room, and I'm 5'9" for reference. Now, my feet can easily slide up underneath of the seat, and the seats themselves I do find to be decently comfortable, although they are a little bit different material-wise than in the front seat. Now, as far as the seat itself is concerned, it does not have reclining abilities, so this is just going to be the only configuration. Now, if you fold down the center armrest, there are 2 cup holders inside. And then as far as features, we have vents coming out at the center section. If you choose at least the A-Spec trim, you will additionally get 2 USB-C ports here in the back to keep things charged up. Heated rear seats are not offered on the ADX. And then as far as the door trim is concerned, I'm a little disappointed by this. It's just going to be hard touch plastic all through the center section and on the upper part. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. However, we do have a leatherette armrest portion and a bottle storage down the bottom. Now, walking up to the tailgate area, we do have a Power One. And then as far as the space is concerned, once again, that trend of having quite a bit of room continues. You're sitting at about 24 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats. If we reach up and fold the seats down, which we can easily do just by reaching over this cargo cover. The cargo cover makes it a little hard to do. So give me just a second to fold these seats down. All right, and now that I've got those seats folded down, you can see the full 55 cubic feet of space that this Acura ADX has as a maximum. Now, they were quick to point out that it is one of the class-leading cargo capacities. It's a very good amount for this luxury subcompact segment. And if you're curious as to maybe some subcompact SUVs that you could also be cross-shopping this with, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you do that is because there are certainly a lot of choices out there, and we have gone through in each of those categories that might matter more to you: technology, powertrain, cargo space, rear seat amenities, those types of things. You can see what might be the best and worst options for you in the segment. So do yourself a favor, go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now back to the ADX. Overall, it is going to give you a flat loading floor once you fold those seats down that are 60-40 split folding. And let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. This is a Car Confections review after all. We're looking at 70 inches of cargo length from behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. About 34 inches of length behind the second row of seats. Let's see how wide it is. Oh, that's very good. 42 inches wide. And then let me go ahead and get the cargo height. And now we are looking at about 30 inches of height in this area. Now do keep in mind though, as you get to the end of the cargo area, you're only going to be looking at about 12 inches of height because it is kind of sloped off. Now if we lift up the floor, there's a tiny bit of additional space, and then underneath of there is a spare tire. Now, one of the other cool features that the ADX has is the kind of walk-away system that you've seen on some of the more premium Acura vehicles. So you can press that button right there. It will know when you walk away from the vehicle, and then it will go ahead and close it for you. So if your hands are full, groceries or whatever, you can just press that button, load up, and then leave. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new Acura ADX. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading. But first, we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, so that was 60 miles per hour. In this ADX, we're in the sport mode right now. And of course, as we were talking about at the spec dump at the beginning, this does have a different powertrain from the HR-V. It's a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. And our end result is about 30 more horsepower than that model. So we're setting at 190 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque. Now, in terms of the overall acceleration, you could probably tell it's not fast, that's for sure. This is still going to be pretty slow. You're, I'm assuming, going to improve a little bit over the HR-V, but in terms of the rivals in this segment, this is going to be a lot slower.
Yeah, from the acceleration, I think it's going to be fine for a lot of people. However, like Drew said, we've been in all of the other rivals that you may be looking at: the Lexus UX, the Audi Q3, BMW X1, the Mercedes GLA. All of those will, be, I think, significantly faster, especially on the German end, than this Acura ADX.
That was 60. That was fairly flat surface.
Yeah,
this is
off the line.
yeah, off the line. There's really nothing going on. Yeah, it's certainly very slow. If you're cross-shopping with a Q3 or an X1, those would leave this for dead. I mean, they go 0 to 60 in like half the time.
Yeah, I mean, but overall, you've also just got to keep in mind what you personally need. If you want a lot of power, that might be something to look at, getting some of those German rivals. Also, I will point out, right now we have in the individual mode, it's set to have
the sport mode.
Yeah, so we do also have some noise entering in, so that's just something to keep in mind. You can also kind of tailor that as well. You can change the engine sound to comfort, normal, or sport.
Yeah, that's coming through the audio system, that extra enhancement. That's one of the key things that you might be looking for if you if you do choose to get the A-Spec Advanced, the top model, you get the individual drive mode. So you can see the things right there that you can customize. One of those things is the engine sound. So if you want to like have the engine and the throttle response in the sport mode, but also not have the artificial sound, for instance, you can do that.
Yeah, and I think there's actually quite a lot of different things in here that you can customize, a little bit more than I thought you would be able to do.
Now, as we accelerate there, we'll talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. That's the fact that this does have a continuously variable transmission on board. As you could hear, it also has a shift simulation, and you've got paddle shifters on the steering wheel, so you can actually click through some of those simulated gear changes if you want. Now, front-wheel drive will be standard on all the trim levels. I think it's important to note, though, that the available all-wheel drive system is not the super handling all-wheel drive system. So, of course, Acura is kind of known for having SH all-wheel drive, and this is going to be borrowing just the standard all-wheel drive system from the Honda HR-V, so you do lose that benefit you get in an RDX of the added torque distribution and things between the rear wheels and all the other wheels. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't mean this is like a bad all-wheel drive system, but it just doesn't have those extra benefits.
Yeah, and as far as the fuel economy, let's go ahead and talk about that, because we do just have the one powertrain option. There's no hybrid. We are going to be sitting at two different fuel economies, depending on if you get front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive is 26, 31, 28. All-wheel drive, 25, 30, 27. Now, it is worth noting that's not that impressive of fuel economy, especially considering that some of the other rivals have hybrid options that get significantly better fuel efficiency than this, but overall it's not terrible. It's going to be very similar to that of the Honda HR-V, despite having additional power. All right, now that we're just kind of cruising along the highway here, I do want to take a second to discuss overall ride quality in the Acura ADX. Most people aren't going to be doing full throttle accelerations all the time. You're just going to be kind of cruising around the city. So how does it ride? Well, as far as the ride, I think it's pretty good. It does feel a little bit maybe on the firmer side, so as we hit some of the bumps in the road, you will feel some of that translate into the cabin. However, these seats I do find to be really, really comfortable, so that kind of makes up for that in that sense, and I honestly feel like most of the options in this subcompact luxury segment do tend to have that sportier characteristic, like the Audi Q3 and BMW X1. The Lexus UX, I think, will be your most comfortable option out there.
Now, because of the sport tune suspension, though, you do have some nice benefits with the handling characteristic. Of course, Honda and Acura, they're kind of known for giving you a good amount of sportiness baked into the chassis and the steering. This is no different. So when you go around a corner, we notice that the body roll is quite controlled. The steering also has a little bit of weight and good feedback as well, so it just doesn't have the numbness that some of the rivals have in this segment.
All right, let's go ahead and get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, which is our favorite and least favorite element about the Acura ADX. Drew, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
I think the Slam Dunk is going to be the pricing of this. They've really positioned this to be basically the lowest price thing you can get in this segment. It's really going to undercut most of the things that are rivals of this.
Yeah. And then on the Airball side of things, what we're just going to say is, in general, we wish there was a little bit more differentiation between this ADX and the HR-V. There are some pieces that are almost exactly the same between the two models. And then the powertrain, although it is different than the HR-V, overall performance, it really doesn't feel all that different. It does have 30 more horsepower, but it's still going to be one of the very slowest options in this segment that you can get.
Yeah, or adding more power or giving us the hybrid option. I think both of those things would be appreciated. Overseas, Honda has the ZR-V model, which does have a hybrid, and they haven't brought that over to the HR-V or to this, and I think that would also be an appreciated step to boost the fuel economy.
All right, and we are going to go ahead and speed up to 55 miles per hour so we can get our sound level reading. You can see how quiet this Acura ADX is. I will go ahead and make sure we're on fan speed 1. And we're going 55. 63.1 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading in the ADX. Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to some of the rivals. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. Okay. We actually did hit a little bit of a smoother patch of the pavement. It looks like it's ending right there. We got 58.1, so that I think is a little bit more of an accurate sound level reading for the ADX, but like I said, it's not going to be the quietest option in the segment, so just keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and discuss pricing. So as I said at the very beginning of this video, we start at $35,000 for the base model with front wheel drive. All-wheel drive is going to add $2,000 to that price. The A-Spec starts at $38,000, and then this A-Spec Advance is $42,000. Now, if you want one equipped just like this model, you will be sitting right around the $45,000 price point, fully loaded up. Now, if you're looking to buy an Acura ADX or any new vehicle, we definitely encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation and can really help the dealers to start competing on price. We even have a monthly payment tool if you'd like to check that out. So do yourself a favor, go down in the video description, click that link, or you can also use the pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. Now, first of all, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Acura ADX's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 49.9% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21%. Now, it's worth noting that is above industry average. Actually, it's right around that industry average metric, but certainly above that of most luxury brands. BMW, Mercedes, Audi, all of those brands will be significantly lower. It is going to be slightly less than Lexus, though, for the UX.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies on reliability from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. And we have also kept this up to date with the latest 2025 data. In this regard, Acura rates well above the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale or reliability data, as well as our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, lastly, as far as your warranty is concerned, you do have a quite good one. It's going to be a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic warranty, 6-year, 70,000-mile powertrain warranty. Acura is also including 1 year and 12,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec Advance. If you enjoyed watching this video, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews, such as this Acura ADX, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies, and if you're already part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support.